It's New Year's Eve. Hello and welcome to Business Live. I'm Charles Aite. Tonight, we highlight the top business stories as we end the year 2021. From the scourge of fires that ravaged market centers to the controversial 1.75% electronic levy. Not forgetting the finance minister's "there are no jobs" frank warning. Well, also we have been on the streets scouting from the public the key concerns that they're carrying along to 2022.
Looking at the constraints in the economy, especially with respect to COVID, it's affected every sector of the economy to that extent that it's affected us as humans. And we were thinking that the government would rather soften its stance on things for us that will make us be able to meet the day-to-day financial needs of people.
Well, and later we have some smart financial tips on how best to spend and save wisely in 2022. Please stay with us. We have more coming up shortly in the New Year's Eve edition of Business Live. Hello and welcome. I'm Charles Aite. Well, it has been an eventful time of the year. And of course, where do we all start? Well, let's begin with the scourge of market fires that ravaged tens of market scenes in Accra and some parts of the country. Now, what you see on the screens are the popular, pictures that were picked from the Makula market fire that saw millions of cedis worth of goods burned to ashes. Two concerns crept up in the wake of this development: the need for insurance penetration in the market centers and some intensified security. Well, take a listen to the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obim, whose members at most were victims to this disaster.
It's about the insurance companies even taking the risk. Because they come and when the place is so congested and all that, they don't have the appetite to insure shops like that, especially those in open areas where shops are clustered and all that. So that's why I've even suggested in the past that we should find a way that we should include insurance levies in the premises fees that we pay to AMA. And I've suggested, and I keep on suggesting, I'm waiting for a time that it will be accepted and then rolled on. So most of these people are there and then their money is gone down the drain, just like that. So this particular one, I'm not happy because this thing keeps reoccurring and there's no solution in sight. And then one serious thing is that when it starts like this, then it keep on coming. If care is not taken, we hear from other areas also burning and all that. And we don't understand. So we should have an institutional framework that will protect us regarding the fire outbreaks in the market. And that's very important that we should do. Otherwise, we lose all our capital to fire outbreaks. I told you when there are issues like this, people come and talk. They'll come to your studios and talk. And then when you want to pursue it as trade union like this, it doesn't go anywhere. They will promise us modern market premises and all that. Those are talks to calm down people's nerves during the periods like that.
Well, the update to this is that about 9 million cedis have been apportioned to all affected traders through the Ghana Enterprise Agency. Well, take a listen to this.
We have gone through a period where most people look for jobs of government, etc. That payroll is full. I can tell you that because we are spending some 60% of our revenue on remunerating some 650,000 people, and that's not sustainable.
Well, that was the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, somewhere in October, making the frank revelation that government can no longer employ the teeming university graduates. Now, this was one of the biggest stories of 2021 as experts got divided on the entrepreneurship debate. But one sector that gained much traction was the Technical and Vocational Institute, of which I had an interview with the CEO and founder of the Design Technology Institute, Constance Swanika, who says that now is the time for government and the rest of the country to embrace entrepreneurship.
Produce what we sit on, begin to champion our own causes. And then I would also like us to talk about when the borders shut, post-COVID, fought into the fourth industrial revolution, right?
Yeah, instantly.
And then,
economies world over were closing borders, producing things for themselves, and Ghana was left. We were just so much advantaged, to see some of these SMEs to produce things locally. But yet again, it begs the question about the future of jobs in Ghana and the state in which we are prepared to embrace the future of jobs in Ghana. As you sit in here as an industrialist, I will term it that way, and a TVET professional, how concerned are you about the future of jobs, the state of the future of jobs post-COVID-19 in Ghana?
I think, for me, I'm not worried because
Indeed, she isn't worried. Well, we'll still stay with the Finance Minister because the 2022 budget really caused a stir on the floor of Parliament when it comes to the controversial 1.75% electronic levy. In Parliament setting to January next year. But of course, for more broader consultation, but take a listen to the Finance Minister once again as he granted George Riafi an interview, after which we'll get to hear from the senior economist, Professor Godfrey Bokpen, on his stance on this matter. And of course, as expected, the E-levy has attracted stiff opposition, as I was stating, by a large section of the public, even with threats by some mobile money account holders withdrawing their funds. Take a listen to a vox that we had in the principal street of Accra.
This E-levy there, no, it's not good. This thing will affect many individuals in this country because now you can see that Ghana, we are passing through a lot of hardship. So, this E-levy, we are pleading with the government. This E-levy, it will not help us. It will not help us because some of us, you are here, you have our parents in the village. So we're sending something small to them to manage their E-levy. It will disturb us a lot. So we are pleading with the government not to implement that.
For the E-levy issue, I'm not against the E-levy. But my idea or my suggestion is if the government can reduce it, that one will help, but the 1.75% there, it is too much.
E-levy, the almighty E-levy. I think E-levy is going to bring our work down. That's what I think. The agents, because most of the customers are now complaining they are going to move from mobile money. Even this one that we are doing, the commission on it, they complains. And this 1.75, they'll be like, wow, it's too much. I'll be very grateful if it's either they slash it down or maybe they don't think about it.
Even without the levy, the 1.75 levy, my customers are complaining. And they were like, if they implement the 1.75 this thing, they will deduct their money from mobile money. I think they will withdraw their money from mobile money. They will not transact anymore. And I think it will bring my business down. So I'm not in support of that.
1.75, 1.75, there. About affecting a business, business, because if somebody wants to send money to his family members, I don't think the person will come to us for the transaction, because if the person goes and withdraw their money, because of the charges, the charge is bigger than the older this thing, they don't come here and send the money. So it will affect us. So on this coming demonstration, we all be available there and do a gargantuan demonstration.
Well, you did hear some Ghanaians on the streets on the controversial electronic levy, some threatening to withdraw their mobile money, funds from their various wallets. Well, let's also move to the agri sector because it also experienced some dark moments in 2021, from the bird flu to the shortage of fertilizers. The value chain of production and the cost of food at the farm gate all got impacted. Anthony Morrison is Chief Executive of the Agribusiness Chamber, and he joins us via Zoom. Anthony, we're grateful that you could join us. To you as an expert and a key player in the industry, what were the key highlights in the agri sector this year? I'm afraid we don't have Anthony on the line. We shall try and raise him back on the line. But of course, as we have been stating in the headlines, we are of course explaining to you the reasons why you must spend your money wisely, especially when we enter into the year 2022. So to help us understand it proper, help us we could finance our various projects and do that wisely, is Richmond Frimpong to help us understand. Richmond, you're joining us via Zoom. Grateful that you could join us. We're entering the new year. What particular advice do you have, especially when it comes to savings and spending or budgeting our funds?
Thank you and good evening, Charles. I think just like every year, it's very important for anybody who has been around since 2019, 2020, and even this very year to be very cautious about what savings can do for you. What savings can do for anybody is what we call financial immunity. We have gotten into a time where globally there are a lot of crises. And so the only buffer, the only thing you turn away to when there are challenges or there are difficulties with your finances is a minimum of your 6 months regular income savings. That helps you sort you out anytime you are challenged. And so the advice I will give anybody preparing to to enter or experience 2022 is to take savings as serious as you have probably never taken before. And most importantly, save to build immunity for a minimum of 6 months, i.e. using your regular income can take care of you just in case you have a challenge with your regular income.
So saving your first 6 months of regular income, how can you do that? Especially let's picture it for someone who earns 1,000 cedis a month.
Very simple. So for anybody who earns even 500 or less, one thing you have to know is that financial immunity and the conversation about building immunity for your finances has really no respect for how much you earn. It is almost like a priority you must take serious. And so one thing you can do is to look at the expenses, because that is where the problem is. And usually for anybody, irrespective of how much you earn, your expenses are either statutory or discretionary.
Great.
By statutory mean the expenses you can barely do anything about. You have to spend on them. And then by discretionary, they are expenses that you have the choice to make them. And nothing happens to you. For example,
of course, I do know, Richmond, that you have encapsulated all these advice in a book you have published, New Year, New Beginnings. Help us understand some snippets in this particular publication and how our audience must, apply themselves to the nuggets that you have introduced in this book.
Right. So in the New Year Fresh Start, for example, I share about these two types of expenses. And for those whose incomes are very little, one of the things you do is that you save the discretionary part of your income, where you are able to now use them to put into regular investment schemes that can return some interest for you in addition to the earnings you make on your regular work. And when you do, you notice that you earn something at the end of the month for the work you do. And then what you would have put aside also gives you something. So then you build multiple streams.
Indeed.
And it takes care of your very urgent needs going into the new year.
Indeed impressive. Richmond, we're grateful that you could join us, and we're also grateful that you could help us with your submissions in the course of this year through various analysis and, of course, various reactions to matters regarding the economy. We're grateful once again for your time, and we wish you the best of 2022. Well, that was Richmond Frimpong there with some nuggets for 2022. Speaking of the new year, of course, we've hit the streets to scout some ideas, some concerns actually from a cross-section of Ghanaians. My colleague James Eshen has more in this report.
Currently at the Achimota Mall to look at the top business concerns for the year 2021. What really mattered to Ghanaians when it comes to the business world? You've written budget E-levy. Why the E-levy?
E-levy because it came as a shock to us that looking at the constraints in the economy, especially with respect to COVID, it's affected every sector of the economy to that extent that it's affected us as humans. And we were thinking that the government would rather soften its stance on things for us that will make us be able to meet the day-to-day financial needs of people. But I was just told that the government is coming up 1.75 as the E-levy for us, and it will affect us drastically. I think going forward, if the government can do something by bringing like 1%, I think it will be okay. Then the telcos also should reduce their charges. Then in that case, it will ease things. But if the government want to maintain the 1.75, then I think most Ghanaians will no more use the mobile money. They will not withdraw money from the people that we withdraw money from, this Momo vendors. We will not withdraw money from them again, because then everybody will go into the bank. And in that case, it will affect. When we brought this Momo things, everybody was happy and we all went onto it. But now that the government wants to maintain the 1.75, I bet you a year by this time, 2023, most Ghanaians will be keeping their money in the house, or most of them will walk into the bank and they will not want to withdraw money. So I think the government should reconsider it and something stand by. At least 1% will be okay for us.
You could see on the board that we have taxes, E-levy, budget, shortage of feed, E-levy once again, no ID, no Momo, as well as the new registration of the SIM cards. This is what some Ghanaians actually wrote here with respect to their topical issues in the year 2021. But my takeaway from what we have in here has to do with the E-levy, because you could see two people actually made mention of E-levy. Some made mention of the fact that the 1.75 seem to be a big issue. They are rather calling for a drastic reduction of the percentage that has to do with the E-levy. Some also talk about the shortage of feed, and that shortage of feed has to do with the agriculture sector. Somewhere in August, what happened was the Poultry Farmers Association in Ghana were basically saying acute shortage of poultry feed is affecting their businesses, and that might cause a huge threat for the Poultry Farmers Association. And also the no ID, no MOMO, that's a big issue as well, because people feel indeed if we are to get a new ID and all, that might one way or the other affect their businesses, as well as the new registration of SIM cards. They basically believe this can affect their business. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
By Ghanaians on the streets of Accra. We're grateful. That's how we end this edition of Business Live. My name is Charles Aite. It's been a pleasure being your way in the entire year on the marketplace as well. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. We wish you a happy new year, and let's have a productive one this day, and of course enjoy the rest of our programs.